If turning 35 made me antsy, turning 36 is making me mildly freak out. And sure, I'm actually lucky since I haven't aged too drastically. And sometimes I still get asked for ID when opting for a bottle of wine. But the twisting sensation in my intestines is not so much caused by my appearance, or general health, or fear of death. It's much sadder than that, actually. And I will call it FOMO with an H, or the feeling of having missed out. I grew up in a family that didn't go to university. I was instead surrounded by the working class. And since no one modeled the academic lifestyle for me, I didn't really have a degree on my radar myself. I wanted to be a zookeeper my whole teenage years. And why would I need a doctor for that? So yeah, believe it or not, but I never formally studied anything. But the trouble of not getting a degree started even sooner, when the decision had to be made which path of secondary education I would take in Germany. I had the grade to enter the highest level that would then later enable me to go to university. But the 11-year-old me was thinking about horses. And my mother, once again, never told me about the practicalities of shiny CV titles. So I actually refused and entered a lower secondary level that would automatically exclude me from a higher education later down the line. With that decision, the seed for my profound sadness about my age today had been planted. It's a sadness that is not about wrinkles or increasing joint pain, or my pancreas not being able to handle burger and fries combined anymore. It's the sadness about not having tapped into my potential at crucial stages in my life, when these things not just subjectively but also objectively had to happen in order to bring about their greatest results. Sure, I can still hit up university in my mid-30s, but at this point in my life I can't imagine to sit in a classroom for 5 years just to have a fancy sheet of paper. I'm also not really good with doing what I'm told, which might be something I should work on, or not. And there's more. By now I realize how much drive I actually already had as a kid. I wanted to learn all kinds of sports, all kinds of instruments, all kinds of languages and other skills. But my family was poor, and so I spent every minute outside of school at home, pretty much by myself. I learned very late in life that summer camps are a thing in Germany too, and not just on American TV. And that other kids went to ski resorts every winter, while I was just playing with dirt in the forest. I was an incredibly curious kid, but none of my aspirations have ever been addressed by my mother. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't have the financial means to foster my curiosity, nor the resourcefulness to make it happen any other way, nor the social circle that could have guided her and guiding me. I had no opportunities and no perspectives for as long as I couldn't make decisions for myself. And later I had no role model that could have guided my zest for learning when I finally could. I was completely lost and aimless because I just didn't know any better. And it's not exactly something I can give another shot. The chance to start the violin at the age of 4 instead of 17 to get actually good at it has passed me by. The chance to become even just a shred acrobatic when my body was still malleable is lost. And the chance to compete against people with a degree on the job market is gone with the wind of low-level secondary education. And now, on top of that already disheartening realization, I have to watch people in their 20s become successful entrepreneurs and even millionaires on YouTube. And I know I'm not alone with that FOMO with an H. Whining about the seeds of sadness is getting us nowhere though. It is what it is, and all we can do is to take it from here. So how do we take it from here? We do that with apatheia. As an aspiring stoic, I know that we need to concentrate on the things we can actually control, and not on the things outside of our control, because the latter will just lead to unproductive misery. We can't control our past, it's done. We can, however, control how open and positive we remain regarding our future despite a bad start in life. The ancient Stoics called this acceptance apatheia, and even though the term shares a root with the word apathy, it doesn't imply a lack of interest or care, but actually refers to an ideal state of calmness and rational detachment. Apatheia emphasizes control over disruptive emotions, to achieve inner tranquility and to stay unaffected by external events that are beyond our control. The point here isn't to be emotionally numb, which is a big misconception about the practice of Stoicism in general, but to practice emotional resilience, allowing you to shake off the burden of I should have or I could have. And that space, freed from any regret, can be filled with constructive action towards toward your goals, regardless of any perceived lateness or disadvantageous precondition. I will never forget that I missed out on so much, but I can consciously choose not to let that cloud my thoughts and tackle what time and possibilities I still have at my disposal, unshackled from destructive self-pity. And now, thanks to Nietzsche, we can take that mindset even a step further with Amor Fati. Nietzsche popularized this stoic idea of acceptance of events outside one's control as loving one's fate, or amor fati. It's an acceptance that goes beyond passive tolerance, but instead it's a downright embrace of your life exactly as it unfolded. Rather than seeing past choices or adversities as unfortunate, amor fati invites you to see these setbacks as an integral part of your story, and thus each moment of wasted potential becomes something essential and irreplaceable to who you are now, with insights and resilience you otherwise might not have gained. By embracing Amor Fati, you don't have to detach from or condemn your past self. Instead, you see that self as someone who was doing the best they could with the knowledge and resources they had, without regret or shame or FOMO with an H, to make this path that you are walking feel uniquely yours. And again, this is not about being delusional. It's not about pretending that your past never happened. It's about showing it your middle finger and moving on anyway. It's about freeing up mental space that others fill with complaining and filling it with online courses about tattooing instead. It's about redirecting your focus to where your potential actually matters. The present moment that is perfect with all its imperfections. So stop comparing yourself to unrealistic ideals that we are bombarded with on social media. It does happen that a 21-year-old unicorn gets struck by $1 million idea and becomes rich overnight. This is, however, insanely rare. And it's much more likely that you will create the next best mode of transportation at the age of 45, as Henry Ford did. Or that you create a hit comic that will later become $1 billion IP at the age of 39, like Stan Lee. Or that you invent some other main source of nutrition for disorganized students like instant ramen, as Momofuku Ando did at the age of 48. You are never too late or too old or too lacking of a degree to start something new and or big. And sure, it might take longer now or won't be as legendary. And it's also naturally much harder, because we perceive failure much more personal and cataclysmic as adults. But even if there was some missed potential early on, that doesn't discredit your capacity to live meaningfully from here on out. I mean, look at this fierce lady. I really hope my grandma watches this. It's important to keep in mind that you do have control over deciding to either spend the rest of your days complaining about not being where you would like to be, or to just do the thing and enjoying the ride while it's still riding along. I will always feel a certain sadness over my FOMO with an H, because I'm a human and not a statue of Plato. But there will also always be that middle finger that I can show to any negative self-talk, while I'm trying to embrace the role of the resourceful underdog. A girl that never had the chance to go ski with the rich kids, but now uses her natural thirst for knowledge to become an artist and YouTuber and hobby philosopher and shitty musician and all that pretty much by herself. And you know what brought me here? Exactly. The fact that I always stayed curious. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you started late in life, but don't wait too long with liking and subscribing.